Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Christmases, whatever. Happy holidays to all. Happy New Year. We're back with the Brew, Matt and Mike. We're not sure about the number episode. We've definitely failed on that end, but it's fine. We'll just keep it moving. Not a big deal. Back from a little bit of a hiatus. Matt is up in the wilderness in Door County enjoying some time off. Being an adult. I am definitely enjoying some time off here in Cleveland, Ohio, at my family's, my parents' house, getting spoiled like the baby in the family that I am, and we just got to enjoy the Badgers take another W. What was the final score? I actually didn't see that. I turned
80-60 Wisconsin.
80-60. All right, so we had a nice little win there, especially off of another shellacking of a mid-major team in Central Michigan. So they've had a good week so far, playing well. Beating them on teams that they should. Um, so looking forward to seeing. Now it's Big Ten play, right? Do we know what their next game is?
Purdue, it's Purdue, which I think is an absolutely massive game. Like, massive. I can't emphasize that enough. I think we'll make another episode on just previewing and discussing why. Obviously, they're like a top 10 team. Of course, that's going to be big. But I just think the domino effect that game is going to have is absolutely huge. I think this season can further spiral into a pedestrian average bubble team kind of season, or get worse if they lose, or this could be something that changes the mojo, the energy, the vibe, and just the feel moving forward. So I think it's absolutely massive game. But yeah, we'll break down this UWM game.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah,
starting off, looking at the game itself, they obviously came in with a nice run. They started the game early. UWM, we were kind of texting him before the game, and you were kind of like, man, I didn't expect them to be this bad. And I don't know if you were listening to the broadcast, but, this was going to be their third game in 4 nights. They have lost two of their three top scorers. They lost their predicted preseason leading scorer to an injury in the preseason. And then their leading scorer through 9 games, he ended up going out with a shoulder injury. So they're a little bit shorthanded, as well as I know that their coach is trying to really turn that program around. But they're 3-0 in the Summit League. Is it? Oh, Horizon. They're in the Horizon.
Horizon. Yeah.
Apologies. 3-0 in the Horizon League. They go to Oakland next. So, I mean, they had a little bit of a rough shooting night to start, and it seemed like the size of Wisconsin really bothered them early. And then they kind of found their legs, and Wisconsin seemed to kind of chill out the last 5 minutes of that game, 5 minutes of the first half. They didn't really feel as defensively locked in, and obviously, shots were not falling tonight. They had a rough night from shooting from beyond the arc, but overall, I thought it was great to see just the younger faces in this game come in, especially in the second half. Kinziger came in. I really like him. I'm not gonna lie to you. Kinziger has. I've been impressed with the 2 games he showed. I like his pace. I actually like him on the ball. I think it would be a really interesting lineup for Coach Gard to put him as the main point guard and then have Blackwell and Boyd be more of the scoring guards coming in.
Interesting.
I think that would be an interesting little combo because I've actually I haven't
Yes.
said it yet, but I'd be really curious to see if Rohde could handle a little bit more of the main point guard responsibilities and then slide Boyd and Blackwell into more scoring guard positions.
Interesting.
So we'll see. But overall, I thought it was a great game. My guy Hayden Jones got in,
Ah,
had a couple of nice dimes. He's coming along very nicely. You're starting to see that the game is slowing down a little bit for him. Um, but yeah, overall. Oh, one more thing too. Your guy Nolan Winter. He put the ball on the deck a couple of times today, looking much more confident, which I really like to see.
beautiful pick and roll him and Kinziger had at one point in time, and he looked really athletic on that roll down to the hoop where he crashed that hoop super hard down the roll. But yeah, I look at this game and also one other thing, just kind of yeah, we had a bit of a hiatus. I just want to say we're recharging our batteries right now from being adults, and we are going to get rolling hard in 2026. So hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss out. We are going to be being rather consistent moving forward. But yeah, I look at Wisconsin, and we'll talk more about the players, but I just want to say UWM shot 3 of 22 from 3, 14%. Wisconsin shoots 4 of 22 from 3, 18%. This is why no one watches basketball anymore. I hate to say it. NBA's ratings are absolutely in the tank. And now in college, it's just turning into the NBA. It's turning into a super unorganized mess. It's a professional mess, and it just has no guardrails. And I think we'll also talk about the current state of college basketball and the logistics and get away from Wisconsin hoops a little bit in another episode. But Yeah, I think this game was disgusting to watch. It was a snoozer. The Kohl Center was very boring. I mean, it was fine. Wisconsin won by 20, and they didn't shoot the ball well. But yeah, the lack of shooting or the terrible shooting from three. Wisconsin is a finesse team that lives and dies by the three, but they are very mediocre at shooting the ball. I thought they were going to be a better shooting team. This was my big concern with the team. But what I didn't realize with this team is how soft they were going to be. I think Wisconsin's a really soft team. They don't play physical, and then they have chemistry issues. Nick Boyd, and I'm kind of we've had a hiatus, so I got a few things to get off my chest. I think Nick Boyd. I don't know how much he truly cares about winning more so than he does putting up his numbers and getting a good highlight reel to try maximizing his profits in the future, making good money. I understand, but John Tonje is a guy last year who got his own, but also it really felt like he won and he bought in. I see a lack of buy-in from Boyd, which I don't like. But yeah, I'm just this team. I came off super bullish on paper. I feel like this team should be so much better than it really is. But there's a lack of physicality. There's a lack of gelling and meshing. I like that they held UWM to 2 points for a long time tonight. But the problem was is like UWM was just lacking firepower. Their best players weren't playing, and some of the shots they were taking looked worse than a D3 team playing against Wisconsin in that first half. So I'll just say that's kind of where I'm at. And my question for you, Mike, is just give me your take on Nick Boyd. He finished with 16 points, but we talked off camera where there seems to be a disconnect between him and Blackwell. And for me, it just seems to be a lot of me ball versus team ball. And that's just kind of the world we live in. But last year, it didn't have the same feel that it does this year.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed a little bit before we got on camera is we're very used to high level point guard play at Wisconsin. Wisconsin has had a string of extremely high level point guards going all the way back to, Cam Taylor. Cam Taylor was a bucket getter, also extremely high level point guard who, could distribute play super well. Trayvon Hughes was a very, very talented, skilled point guard. Jordan Taylor, led the country in assist to turnover ratio at I think a ridiculous like 9-1 or
Oh, yeah.
something like that. But still was able to create offense. Then it went to Trayvon Jackson, Bronson Koenig. You keep going into Dimitri Trice, Brad Davidson, and then even with all the way up to Chucky Hepburn. He did a great job of trying to find that balance, right? And those guys all I feel like had a little bit more floor vision, and just a little bit less of a scoring drive and a little bit more of a playmaking true point guard vibe. And that's kind of one thing that's going on within basketball in general now. Point guards are more scoring guards than they are distributors, right? There's not as many true point guards anymore that just come here, set the table, cook the dinner, set the table, wash the dishes, and go home. That's not a thing that really happens very much anymore at the point guard level. So we had a little bit of that with John Blackwell last year. He was doing a great job of setting the table as well as scoring, and he hasn't really found that niche. And with Nick Boyd, he is attacking downhill and kind of to a need, because there isn't a lot of verticality within the Wisconsin offense outside of him getting super downhill and putting pressure
Mm-hmm.
on the rim. So it's definitely a need, but he plays a lot off of 1 foot, or when he gets in there, he's not necessarily looking to kick out, even though there is a lot of help that comes with him. So when he touches the paint, he is really trying to get to that little flip shot he has. I mean, he has a raise of offensive game, but there are times where, and it feels like this. I think it feels like this too, is because if he's not attacking the rim to score, it feels like he's a little bit more nonchalant, right? It feels like he's not necessarily, oh, I'm still attacking the rim and I'm still putting pressure, but he's doing it to pass so much. And he has some vision and he sees some stuff in the pick and roll, but overall, yeah, he is trying to get his numbers. And you kind of see him press a little bit, and figure it out. And one thing I've noticed, especially with him, is the team definitely follows him. He's definitely the big guy to follow. And when he is playing his best, he is very amplified energy wise on the defensive end. He really picks it up defensively. And then all of a sudden, the energy of the defense picks up behind him. And then all of a sudden, everybody kind of figures out and raises their intensity level. And he is the barometer for me of what's going to go on in this game. Like if he's aggressive early and can spray the ball out
Mm-hmm.
the corners and everything, and is very interested defensively, Wisconsin has shown that they start well with that. And then kind of when he dips, they dip. So I've kind of noticed that a little bit. And it is also a thing. Like, he is a grown man. He is, I think this is his sixth year of college basketball. So for me,
And he's old for his grade too.
yeah, and I would love to see him. I know Coach Gard has preached on this in a few different interviews of dominating every day, right? Like, the guys who make it in the NBA, they literally want to dominate every possession. And they just have that mentality. And he has that sometimes, but for him to make it to the next level where he wants to go, he has to do that 100% of the time. He can't take plays off, especially at his age, right? He's of an older age, so he has to really show that because when you go to the NBA, they don't like older guys. They go more on potential and what they can groom you into than what you've already been doing or what you are capable of at that moment.
Sure. Yeah, and I also think that he does. I mean, for Boyd, he's going to be playing overseas somewhere. I'd be absolutely stunned if he plays in the NBA. But another big concern that I kind of want to talk about in the topic I want to discuss is just physicality. I said I think the team's a little bit soft. I maybe a little bit of effort, maybe a little bit of just physical, like natural strength is missing, or strength in general. I look at last year's team, and you go up and down that team. Old team, but you had Max Klesman, fifth year senior, didn't shoot the ball well, but he was physically solid, aggressive guy. You go John Tonje, sixth year senior, physically solid, aggressive. Stephen Crowell, like, he was a solid body. Sometimes he wasn't aggressive, but he was still a solid 240, 250, solid post guy on both sides of the ball. You go Carter Gilmore off the bench, super physically solid, fifth year guy. Kamari McGee, I mean, 6 feet tall, but that guy was like that guy could play football. He broad shouldered. Yeah, he was a little tank. So you look at all those guys in Blackwell. I mean, last year, he's a physically solid guy. I mean, sometimes he can be a man amongst boys, but you look across like those names, that's a lot of really good physicality. That's a lot of experience, and I I think this year's team is missing physicality and also cohesion. So physicality and cohesion is kind of the topic I want to discuss. Like last year, it really felt like those guys liked each other. You had a lot of continuity, probably as much continuity as you could have in the modern college basketball world, where you had Gilmore there for 5 years, McGee, Wisconsin kid, there for 3 years, Klesman, Wisconsin kid, there for 3 years, Crowell, Minnesota kid, there for 5 years. Both, Winter and Blackwell were sophomores who were at Wisconsin the year before. A lot of continuity, a lot of physicality. This year's team has guys from all over the world, and there's not a lot of physicality, and there's not a lot of good meshing. And do you think Wisconsin can improve on this? How concerned are you about both those things, the physicality and the chemistry this team has?
I like, and we kind of talked about it, and you kind of alluded to it within the Purdue game, right? Like, they've taken care of the things they need to have taken care of, right? They've beaten the teams that they should beat. And then when the bigger games that are coming, where it's like, hey, we need to play well to beat these guys, they just haven't shown up, right? They've kind of gotten the doors blown off a couple of times, and that's kind of the weird thing about this is they haven't found this grit and this grind where they came out successful, right? There hasn't been like the big game for me is if you look at that Villanova game. I think that Villanova game was a little bit difficult just because they couldn't find their rotations right. Like, Villanova kind of beat them up in the guard play, and in terms of what that would have done for their team, just having a gritty win can really kind of change, especially when you get with younger teams that aren't super cohesive, right? They haven't gone through a battle and won it yet, which has, and you can go all the way back to the preseason game, right? They went through Oklahoma and they weren't able to come out on top. The Villanova game, same thing. The games they have lost either have been blowouts or they haven't been able to kind of pull through in a game that has been difficult, right? And I can think back to my time at Wisconsin. I think we started the year, we started Big Ten play maybe 0-3.
Oh yeah, your junior year.
Yeah, my junior year, we went 0-3, and we were kind of just in this weird space. And all of a sudden, like, we switched up our offense a little bit, and we went into Purdue, and we hadn't won at Purdue in like 15 years. And we came in, we kind of ran some new sets. We found a little bit more continuity within each other, and we had one big win in Purdue. And then all of a sudden, we ran off 6. So, for me, I think that's one thing that this team really needs is I think they need like a gritty win that, everybody kind of contributes, guys step up that, you weren't really thinking that would step up. and that can really really bring a group together really really fast. And they haven't really found that yet, right? There is, like you said, they're a new group. They're from all over the world. There's different cultures. There's different languages. There's different guys coming from different programs and different sets of rules and cultures that you're trying to mesh together in a very short amount of time. And so I think for them is, like you said, this Purdue game, like and I can liken it to when Wisconsin beat Arizona last year. That team was a little bit kind of awry. It was a much earlier in the season that they kind of figured it out. But it was like, oh man, we took care of a big time team in our building together.
Hmm.
Obviously Tanjay was a man and did his thing there. But there was pieces of that game that he didn't do it all by himself. There was defensive stops and all kinds of things, and I think that game really gelled that team together last year to kind of push them into what they were expecting to do and what they did, right? And this year they haven't had that yet. And I think, like you said, that Purdue game can be that game.
It can be the launching point for sure. So,
So I think for me,
but
yeah, that's something that you can look at and say, hey, they haven't figured that out yet. In terms of the physicality, they have some of it. I think the freshmen that they have this year can bring it, but they're freshmen. Like we talked about Kinziger, I think he's a dude who wants to be there. I think I'm drawing a blank on the big dude's name again.
Garlock.
Yeah, Garlock. I think Will Garlock. He's starting to figure some stuff out. He's starting to be a big human and understand he's a big human, which is great to see. And in terms of the other bigs and the younger guys, that's the thing, is like you've got this really top heavy team with the three guys that are very very top heavy, a lot of experience, but then the rest is not a lot of experience, right? So there is this gap. So hopefully they can figure it out, and hopefully they can understand, like, we can't keep getting punched in the mouth, and somebody kind of shows up and says, no, we can't do this anymore. And for me, I personally actually think Kinziger might be one of those spark plugs for them.
It seems like it, and I thought there's going to be a bigger adjustment, maybe a few year adjustment physicality wise. Like I thought he just kind of looked like a more slender kind of guy in high school, but he looks pretty physically solid, and it looks like he can move his feet well laterally. And this team desperately needs someone who
Oh
can.
yes.
He kind of has a he's a scrapper. He gets after it. He brings the grit. He brings the energy. And Boyd had two first half fouls, but I didn't realize Kinziger could bring up the ball like this. Like I like the idea of him just bringing the ball up the court and getting the offense moving. Like he's not a black hole. He's going to get that ball moving. And sometimes Boyd and Blackwell, it can be a little bit of me ball. And I like that idea of potentially having Kinziger being the point guard, or even Rohde being the point guard, and moving Boyd and Blackwell a little bit more off ball where they can focus more on scoring, because right now there's just something missing. But in your hypothetical world here, would you have Kinziger starting at point, or Rohde alongside Boyd and Blackwell playing the two or three, or just kind of mix that lineup in more
I think you
often?
can mix it in, like, within the rotation of everything, because, clearly, like, if you're bringing Janicki and Hayden Jones off the bench, they're not overly comfortable bringing the ball up. Like, I know it was against Milwaukee and Central Michigan, and he looked, Kinziger looked comfortable bringing the ball up, but
Yeah, it might be different.
I would give that responsibility to Rohde. I think he can do it. The biggest thing is just like, if people are going to press him, you set a screen in the backcourt and try and figure him out, because he is, like, by far the best distributor on the team, especially playing out of pick and rolls. He has that great vision, and he does have that good feel. So for me, I think Rohde is the one. Also, like, if you take Rohde off of the floor and you bring in Kinziger, they become really small really quickly.
Yeah,
Because Rohde's 6'6", like, and he's their best
yeah.
defender. Like, Kinziger's a good defender. It's not that he's not, but Rohde is their best overall defender for sure, in terms of what he brings to the table for them. He's kind of that Swiss Army knife for them, and he's a big piece of defensively why certain guys are at least hindered a little bit. So for me, that would be the idea, but we'll see what they look like. We'll see what happens, and hopefully this team can keep getting better, right? Like, this Christmas break, I called it the Christmas void. We're in this weird week of Christmas void. Christmas games are always weird too. Not a lot of people are on
No
campus.
students.
Yeah, also, like, mentally as a kid, like, it's a challenge to not be around your family, right? Like, especially if you come from a place that you spend Christmas with your family, or you have your holiday traditions, and all of a sudden, like, that gets kind of rocked. That gets changed very very quickly. I remember I had to spend 2 Christmases in hotels. I was able to go home for like I think 26 hours or something like that for 2 other Christmases. So it's a little bit of an interesting time as a college basketball player. You're in a weird state of mind. So hopefully, they can kind of come back and be rejuvenated by the Big Ten season too, because that's also the other thing. You're in this kind of slog of, hey, we started the season, we hopefully get to go to these tournaments, and then you play some of these mid majors, and it's hard to get up for those games. And
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden Big Ten play pops off, and you're like, all right, let's get it. So hopefully this re-energizes this group and they can come together.
Yeah, absolutely. I like your idea of Rohde and Kinziger playing potentially more point guard. That idea really, I like that a lot. Well, best case scenario with this team. What do you think the absolute best case scenario is with this team where they figure things out, and what does that look like?
I think that means that they're going to finish in the top half of the Big Ten. Like outside, man, like, and looking at the Big Ten, because I've been watching some of these games. Michigan is an absolute juggernaut. Purdue is going to present
And I
a bunch
hate
of
that.
problem. Michigan is really good, man.
And I know, and they're all just a bunch of transfers, which is just annoying.
Oh,
I hate seeing a team just littered with transfers. So
they're
good, but
they're
it
they're
is what it is.
extreme. I mean, that's just the new college basketball, man. Like
It is, and it
we
sucks.
it's the day and the age. It's new professionalism. So it is what it is. But yeah, just
Ratings are gonna dip. Ratings are gonna dip. It's a matter of time.
yeah, we'll see. There's
It's just
just
a
there's
matter of
just,
time.
there's just a
Just like the NBA, the NBA's ratings suck, and
yeah.
I think college basketball is going to follow suit. They've been able to milk a few good stories in recent years, but now there's just going to be actually zero good stories. You have guys joining mid-season with Baylor,
Yeah,
like that guy joining mid-season with Baylor. I mean, you have 30-year-olds just hopping on college teams, which honestly I don't hate that much, but it's just when you have the AJ Stores of the world going 4 schools in 4 years, and you don't know who the hell is on your team anymore. I just think it's a matter of time before college basketball just dips. But I'm getting a little off track here. So yeah, you want to pick us back up.
uh,
Best case scenario,
yeah. Best case scenario for us right now in Badgerland is this team finishes top six in the Big Ten.
top
Um,
six.
I think they can do that. I don't think it's out of the realm. Like they got to put some things together here, right? And they need a few quad one wins. That's the other thing for them right now. They're definitely the outside looking in on the NCAA tournament. So, but the best thing about being in a Power Five conference is you can easily play your way in. So I think for them, best case scenario is top six. They knock off a few big dogs. They shoot the ball well a couple of nights. They find some cohesion. They find some togetherness, and top five, top six seed, a 5 or 6 seed in the NCAA tournament. I think that, that would be very ideal for this team right now, especially coming in and to exceed those expectations. It can happen. It's not that this team doesn't have the talent to do it. It's just, how well they gel and also going into a meat grinder. Like the Big Ten is now 18 teams and different styles from all over the country, and it's a completely different Big Ten than I played in when I was going through school. So
Yeah,
we'll see how they do. That's kind of the one things that you notice about teams that can play really well, and that you need this time, like need in this era of college basketball. They need to be able to win in a multitude of ways, and it seems like Wisconsin hasn't quite figured out how to win in more than a couple of ways.
yeah. And I think the last thing, if you want to take this one real quickly, keep this under the 25-minute mark. Carrington didn't play at all in the first half. And I know Gard said in a press conference that, hey, you got to D up, otherwise you're not going to play. I didn't realize he was a defensive liability. What do you make of Carrington not really playing that first half?
Could be that. It could be shots at other guys. It could also just be there is a riff within the coaching staff. Something could have happened in practice. I know he said he's coming off an injury. I'm not exactly sure what all went behind the scenes, but he did get in the second half. He looked a little bit annoyed after he got his and one. He decided to miss the free throw too. I know he wanted to make it, but at that point, for him, I would like to see him out there more physically as a body, like and as an older player. Like I feel like he's been in some dog fights. He's been around. He's played in bigger games, so you're going to need his experience going into Big Ten play. So hopefully it was just some of that, and we get to see him more because when he does come in and decides to be aggressive outside of shooting, shooting threes, I think he's a really good player.
Yeah, and I think last thing I will say is Kinziger, I also want to give. He's a little bit more athletic than I thought he was. I want to say that, like when he drove to the hoop, and he kind of elevated, finished with his right hand on the left side. I was like, whoa, but he elevated a little bit there, and I didn't know that was in his bag like that. So I think Kinziger brings a nice dynamic. He's better than I thought he would be at this point. One, and I know it's only against UWM, but he's better than I thought, and also just as a fan, just thinking as a fan, I love seeing a kid from Wisconsin playing, I'm glad they burnt his red shirts. But yeah, I think Mike, is that all right stopping point for our first episode back?
Man, I think we had a great conversation. Thank you guys for joining us, especially if you made it this far. And remember, like, subscribe, and any comments you guys have, any questions, we will check those out before our next episode. And man, when do they play Purdue?
The third, I think, the third.
All right, excellent, excellent. I'm
Yeah,
ready to go. I'm ready to watch that
let's
game. It's
go.
gonna be a great game. So.